Hey guys, leave it to the internet to dish out some really bad advice at times, but today, talking specifically about 401ks, there's a lot of bad advice rolling around out there, and I want to react to 3 different personalities. You'll know them well here on today's video, all telling you to beware and stay far, far away from using a 401k for retirement savings. Obviously, a 401k is an extremely popular investment tool offered to you by a lot of employers. Most of you probably have one, so pay close attention because I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here on these personalities telling you not to use a 401k for retirement planning. Great to be back with you. My name is Jarrett Lang, Vice President of W.A. Smith Financial Group, and we are a group of advisors helping you build financial peace of mind for your money. Let's jump into today's first video, and we are brought to you with author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, and let's see what this video has to say.
Is their income.
So the person owning the 401k isn't the one actually profiting from
No.
it. It's Wall Street.
No, you'd be appalled to know how much money Wall Street makes.
And get this book, Who Stole My Pension?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The school teachers, firefighters, and police officers, they're being ripped off blind. And he has charts on that. But your generation coming on, the reason I'm very hot on this subject is my generation, the baby boomers, were the first ones to have 401ks.
Yeah.
And how much does the average baby boomer have today in the 401k?
Oh, age 55 to 65, the median would be about 60,000.
Okay, so Robert Kiyosaki's right. First set of people to have 401ks are the baby boomers. This is, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that old of an account, but it said a couple of interesting things. Now, only Wall Street makes money on the 401k. I think that's kind of funny, to be honest with you, because if you put money, you defer parts of your pay from your income into a 401k, and you invest it, and the market goes up, it is a fact that you will make money on your 401k. Now, Wall Street, no matter where you invest your money, makes money somewhere, some way. So there's virtually 0 ways to avoid paying fees or having Wall Street collect. That's how the system works. But to make that bold of a statement that only Wall Street makes money on your 401k. I personally know hundreds of retirees that have retired successfully today because they systematically deposited money into their 401k over the course of their working years. And generally speaking, the market goes up a lot more than it goes down. So right there. And the other thing too that a lot of people are gonna ask about is what about the free money? So, if you put money into a 401k, the vast majority of 401k plans will do what's called a matching contribution, to where if you put a certain amount of money in, your employer will put some of their money in. So you're kind of giving up on the idea that someone could just hand you dollars that you wouldn't have otherwise gotten. Kind of silly to miss that up. And so let's see what else they have to say on that. But Wall Street's certainly not the only person or entity that makes money on a 401k if done properly, if invested properly, and if paid attention to.
And they're planning to live off of this
For the rest of their lives.
And this is important for millennial money because millennials are not, now listen millennials, this is a clue, okay? This is a clue. Millennials are not 55 to 65. So look, the first generation that shifted into 401ks are now getting ready to retire.
Yeah.
55, 65 years old.
Baby boomers.
If you look at the median and you see that there is 60,000 and half the people have less than that, and you say, okay, sign me up for that program, you've got to be very, very smart and very, very careful.
One thing that's even worse than that is that's the people with a 401k.
Yeah.
In America, 50% of Americans don't have a 401k.
Have no plan.
They don't have a defined contribution, and they don't have a defined benefit.
So just for a second, that's a pretty alarming statistic that many people have 0 401k, no defined contribution, no defined benefit, less than 60,000, which they said is the median amount in the retirement balance of a 401k. Very alarming statistic.
The old guys' pension plans. This is worldwide. And think about this, will kind of, it disturbs me. There's approximately 7 billion people on planet Earth today. Between 2020 and 2030, 2 billion of the 7 billion will stop working. And they don't have any money.
Yeah.
So you millennials will go, okay, boomers, what are you going to do for me now? I says, well, we already screwed you guys. I mean, what else can we do for you? We put you in these 401ks and we're going to suck it out via taxes, via more debt. I mean, and that's why going to school is a waste of time if you want to be rich.
Okay. Going to school is not exactly a waste of time if you want to be rich. I understand what he's trying to allude there to. But he makes actually a good point about the retirement crisis today, and ultimately I wouldn't say that the answer is to not save money in your 401k. It's kind of opposite of the purpose of the entire retirement crisis. All those people that don't have 401ks, maybe it might be because they chose not to participate in their 401k. Therefore, they have no money in their 401k to begin with. There could be other reasons. Maybe they weren't offered a 401k at their place of employment, but ultimately, if they don't have money in there, that's going to be a problem for them. If they couldn't afford to save while they were working, they probably don't have money saved in outside investments, brokerage accounts, savings accounts. I would argue that part of the problem here with why all those people either had very little amount in their 401k or no money in a 401k is probably more due to participation levels. I mean, quite frankly, some people that are working paycheck to paycheck can't quite afford to take a little bit of that take-home money that they would bring and put it into a 401k. And that could be the reason why they don't have a lot of money in there, not because Wall Street is ripping them off or taking a bunch of fees from them or draining their 401k balance. I think it's more a product of pay and can you budget and can you live a life where you can actually afford to take some of that money and shovel it off to a retirement vehicle. If you happen to have a 401k, my opinion, it would be a pretty decent place to stash some of that disposable income, if you can afford to do so. You do have to be aware of some of the 401k rules and some of the fees and some of that stuff that you have to look for, but you can do some research and find that out, or a fiduciary advisor can help you look at that to make sure that you have a good plan. Before we go into the next one, if you like this content in this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell notification, turn your notifications on so that you can be alerted to our next set of videos as they're posted. Now let's jump into another video that I want to, this is another Grant Cardone, extremely popular person in the finance and the finfluencer world, but Grant is also talking about what he calls the truth about 401ks. So let's listen in.
College is a prison, and the 401k is probably one of the greatest scams on the American public ever in the history of the United States.
So why do people put money in a 401k?
Because here's the deal.
Because in all fairness, like
Yeah.
if people have jobs here and they work for, probably a medium size or big company,
making 50, 60
they're
grand a
talking
year.
about 401ks.
Sure they are.
They're saying, hey, we got a 401k. Do you want to participate?
Because-
Opt in, opt out. You know.
Yeah, so
Do the
this
whole
is what
deal.
happened. The 401k was created by Wall Street. It was sold to politicians. Politicians were then told, hey man, we'll support you if you can get this thing pulled off, okay? Now, and the thing that they wanted to pull off was this. We want to convince Jarrett. He's 28 years old, 30 years old, 32 years old, 34 years old. We want to take him now. We want to get his money now. So we're going to spin a story, okay, to the middle class to say Jarrett should start young. Everybody here's heard that story. Start young, do a little bit every month, man. Dude, the whole story was built for Wall Street. It wasn't built for you. And I can prove it.
All right, number one, 401k wasn't built and created by Wall Street. You can do your own research on this, but it was created by a guy named Ted Benna, who was with Johnson and Company, today known as Johnson & Johnson. You think I have kids, it's the little pink bottle, Johnson & Johnson, the baby lotion, right? So you know the company that I'm talking about. And what Ted Benna did is he took a section of the IRS code that was already in there for what it was and learned that you could defer your own pay, avoid the taxation on that income, and that employers were also allowed to match a certain percentage of that, hence the idea of a matching contribution and the free money. So Grant's coming at this from the aspect that it was created by Wall Street in order to make money, and ultimately also that it's the biggest scam because of the IRS. Now we all know and love the IRS. And ultimately, everyone wants to make sure that they pay the least amount of money they have to the IRS So the idea behind hating 401ks due to the IRS is because if you put money into your 401k, you're avoiding tax on it today, but sometime down the road when you take that money out of the 401k, you're going to owe income taxes on it. And the idea here is that what if taxes get larger, the brackets get higher as time goes by, maybe you're going to pay more in tax later than you would today. So you could make that argument, but ultimately, I would say that you should start saving your money for retirement as soon as humanly possible. He's arguing against the idea that you should start young and you should start by little, and I think that that's a perfect place to start. I can tell you where I was when I started, and I didn't have a lot of ability to afford to put a lot of money in right away, but I got started somewhere. And if you've ever heard of the idea of the snowball gets rolling, and it's really small when it starts, but as you continue to roll that snowball, if the snow is sticky enough, it grows and grows and grows, and it happens rather rapidly. So let's continue on with this, but I wouldn't call it a scam. I'd say you have to understand the rules.
And I can prove it.
I can prove it.
Who's going to prove it first?
Well, you can prove it, but I could support it.
I just started a mutual fund. Okay, not a mutual fund, but I started a fund for real estate investing. For me to start a fund to let people invest in my fund, they have rules that say you have to be an accredited earner. Okay, which means simplify that Robert can't invest in the deal yet because he doesn't earn $200,000 a year for 2 years in a row, or he doesn't have $1 million worth of net worth. The only people that can invest in this fund are you earn $200,000 a year.
And can prove it.
Okay, which is only like 4 or 5% of the entire population.
Yep.
And you got to have $1 million net worth, which means what? I can't have somebody with $50 a month do the deal. Why? Because Wall Street has a corner,
a stranglehold
on that deal, a stranglehold, okay? Because they want Jarrett, young Jarrett, at 18 years old, giving $50 a month. Chris works at Starbucks. Hey man, Chris, this is what we're gonna do for you, Chrissy. Little Chris, man, what we gonna do, man? We're gonna take $50 out of your check. We're gonna match it with 50, man. We're gonna do up to $3,000 a year. We're gonna take care of you, man. Okay? Because they knew the story would sell. And by the way, Chris, we're going to take that money and we're going to trap it for the next 30 or 40 years, man, which was exactly what...
The financial markets are very complicated and confusing.
So complicated.
You
and
would
we're
never,
going to diversify
you would
over
never
many things. $2.8 trillion, $2.8 trillion is invested in 401ks. You can't get the money. They penalize you when you take it out.
I've actually got a list right here.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Part of the whole idea of the 401k and having it be in a qualified retirement plan is that you have that age rule. You can't take distributions from it until you reach 59 and a half years old, or if you retire on or after your 55th birthday, there's a rule there where you can get it out a little early without the IRS penalty, but set all that aside for a second. There's a purpose for that. These are meant to be used and spent later on in life. So you don't want to encourage people who put money into their 401k to have easy access to it, right? Now, yeah, they're gonna tie it up. That helps you build the account up over time. That means there's a larger nest egg there for the time when it comes and you're gonna start taking distributions out, and now the IRS is gonna stick their hand out and say, hey, wait a minute, you owe me taxes. You owe me taxes on that money that you've never paid taxes on up to this point. But the whole benefit of it is that you've built a nest egg and it forces you to keep the money in there, right? So think of it as, I know a lot of people who are really, really good with money, and I know even more people who are terrible with money, who, if they have access to it, they're gonna spend it. If it's in their bank account, they're gonna spend it. So think of this as a forced way of saving in an effort to where if you really wanna stash money away and not have the ability to get your hands on it at any time, they're gonna hit you with some penalties. Can you get it out? Yeah, you can get it out. They said that that you can't get the money out of the 401k. It's not true. You're gonna pay an early premature distribution penalty if you pull it out before 59 and a half. You can get it out via loans. Wouldn't always recommend those necessarily, but a lot of 401ks will let you take hardship provision loans. They'll let you take loans on the 401k, charge you interest on it if you absolutely needed to get the money out of there. But these are built for retirement savings. That's why they are called retirement plans. The idea is not to pull money out of them at will. It's not a savings account. It's not a brokerage account. So use them for what they are, and actually pretty good investment vehicles for that purpose to help you save for later in life into that nest egg. Now there's one more that I wanna hit here. Now this one here is by Clayton Morris of Redacted. Redacted is a really popular channel, well over 2 million subscribers, but this is him saying he would never put money into a 401k. So let's check this one out.
I rounded up, and that's still terrible. But what about the company match? I hear you saying. That's the golden company match. Now, if you happen to have one of the rare 401k plans at a company that is offering some kind of matching plan, that sounds great. It's like free money. No, it's not. When you have a 401k plan, you're partnering with the government to give you the ability to invest in the stock market. You're not getting any kind of free money.
All right, hold on. You are getting free money. I totally disagree with him. I'll give you a scenario here. So he's saying you're partnering with the government, and what about the free money? Number one, he said it's very rare that a 401k company offers a match. I don't know what your definition of rare is, but according to a study by the PSCA, did a survey, over 41% of 401k plans today offer a match to their contributors, and that match is a totally 100% vested match on day one. Now that's a whole separate thing. Vesting means if you put money in and the company matches it, a lot of times the matching contribution has what's called a vesting schedule. It means it takes 3 years or 5 years or more before that is actually vested, and if you left your workforce, your employer, and you went and took that money out, that they would actually give you the matching contribution. They make you stay there for a while. So almost half of 401k plans offer a matching contribution. That doesn't seem very rare to me. Now the second thing that he says is it's not free money. Imagine you were walking in the park and someone you've never met before was standing there and he was holding a $5 bill out. And it was free to take, no strings attached. As long as you took $5 and put it in your bank account to save it, he would give you $5, and now you're putting $10 in your bank account. But there's a catch here. On the $5 that you put in and the $5 that he put in, there's going to be taxes owed on at least half of that money. So the $5 becomes $250. Okay, would you still take the $250 that the guy was handing you for free? Or would you walk by and say, hey, no, that's not free, there's too many strings attached? Especially when you have the ability to grow that $250 over time if you put it into an investment. So they're arguing that it's not free money because the IRS is going to get a hand on it. But I would argue that even with the IRS sticking their hand out and saying, hey, give us some of that free money, that there's still very likely going to be some free money left over for you at the very end. So I disagree. If you've got a 401k plan and you have the ability to save and the company is going to do a matching contribution should you put money into the plan, and that 401k plan has a 100% vesting schedule on day one, that's a pretty solid plan.
Don't get me started about the stock market crash that erased many people's retirement accounts. It took 10 years for many people's 401ks to bounce back to where they were before the crash.
So he's referencing the stock market crash that he's referencing is 2008 timeframe, later known as the Great Recession.
I hear people all the time saying, oh yeah, my 401k took a beating. Sure, but it finally bounced back to where it was before the crash. What the hell is wrong with people? Do you hear how that makes zero sense? That means that you just wasted 10 years of investing in growth. So imagine if they owned real estate during that time, or a business. They would have received 10 years of cash flow from tenants in their properties. Even if their $100,000 house dropped in value during the crash down to $75,000, who cares? I'm not selling the house. I'm renting it out with no intention of selling it. So it dropped in value for a little bit of time. Okay, my cash flow did not drop though.
Okay, so a couple of things here too. You can do your own research on this, but for those who were invested in a 401k plan, let's say back in 2007, 2006, leading into the 2008, the big stock market drop. If you had a 401k plan and you were invested in a 60-40 allocation, 60% stocks, 40% bonds. First of all, it didn't take 10 years for those accounts to rebound. Do a little bit of research, and what my research showed is that the average, it only took 3 years. So that's a pretty bold statement. It didn't take 10 years for accounts to recover. If it had, I might agree with him. But if you left your money as it was in that 60-40 allocation, even with the bottom falling out of the account, and not only that, but you continued to contribute to your account, so you didn't stop putting money into the account, then it took a lot less time than what he's saying it did for your account balance to get back to even. Number two, you got to look out for a couple of things. You got to understand the rules. You're supposed to keep the money in until 59 and a half. If you pull the money out early, they hit you with a 10% penalty. You don't want to lose out on those dollars. You want to look out for the matching contribution and the vesting schedule. You want to look out for hardship provisions and loan provisions and what the 401k offers you. You want to look at what type of fund list that they give you. What type of investments are available to choose from? Are they going to give you advice and help you invest it? Or are you going to seek that out from someone else? Do you feel comfortable making those decisions? And then number 3 is, how are the 401ks best used? If you are putting money into a 401k that you deem you might have a short-term need for, I'd argue you're not using it in the best way that it was built for. If you want to build money for later in life that you could rely on as a piece of your overall retirement plan, now you're on the right track. There's this idea that's called the 3-legged stool. And this is the 3-legged stool of retirement. And it was built by having a 401k, personal savings, and a pension. Well, a lot of people don't have pensions today, so the onus has been put on 401ks, and that's why they're even more important. Now, you can make the argument that maybe they aren't the most efficient vehicle. But if you are going to get free money out of the deal, and you're going to have an ability to put money away for retirement and have some rules to where you can't get your hands on it, and you invest it with purpose, you can be greatly rewarded at the end as a nice piece to your overall 3-legged stool, your retirement plan. So if you like this video and you want to hear us talk about something else, you want me to react to something else, you want a question to be answered, educational topic to be covered, drop it in the comments below. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn the notifications bell on so we can alert you to the next video that we show. And until then, I'll see you next time.